And now, for your sadistic pleasure, it's time for the comedic stylings of Storytime with Rug Burn! Hey yo, what's up? World's fastest fanboy here. Here to tell y'all a little story about a chick I used to know, right? This took place back in her younger days, but let me tell you something, she's still basically the same kind of lady she was back then, am I right? So, first things first, beautiful blonde hair going all over the place, right? It's so full, voluminous, too bad there was nothing going on inside. I mean, I met some dumb blondes, I met some smart ones, but she's definitely on the side of the dumb, and you're gonna agree with me by the end of this story. So she claims she was out on some kind of forest walk, right? It was just like, going out there for my fitness, which, totally respect. Keeping yourself in good shape, activities are fun, and hey, I've been known to run through a few woods before in my time when I got a spare nanosecond. Here's the thing though, starts off pretty wholesome until she finds like a house, like a legit house in the middle of the woods, right? And what do you guys do when you see a house that, looks nicely painted and, lived in when you see it walking around in the woods? Is your response like, I think I'm gonna go in there and touch all this stuff? Well, she decided, I'm gonna go in there and touch all that stuff. So the door was locked because, apparently there's a whole bunch of folks walking around through the woods that you gotta watch out for. But they didn't unlock all their windows, so out of curiosity, she just popped the freaking thing open and climbed in. That is already not a good, but it gets better. So after doing what I presume was a really graceful flop onto her butt from the window, she decides, I'm gonna take a break from my workout and try to carbo load, right? And so she finds herself the kitchen table. Like what families eat from. And there she found 3 different bowls. Like what families eat from in their house, which you don't own. Hello, Blondie, get out of there. This is called breaking and entering. But no, it gets better. Picture, if you will, a kitchen table with 3 bowls of porridge, all prepared with love, but just a little bit too hot to eat at just that moment. And so you go off into the woods doing whatever heck it is people do in the woods, only for some weird trespasser to slink into your house and start shoveling her face in the name of carbs, and she didn't even finish it. She had 3 scoops and was like, oh no, it's much too cold. And so she slid on up to the next chair and started doing it again, probably using the same spoon. What a time to be doing that, am I right? But she gotta find something to complain about because she wasn't satisfied with this one either. And so she said, oh no, it's much too hot. And so she slid on up to the next bowl, the littlest one of them all. Sits herself down, looks at the last bowl, decides she ain't got any other options and decides, this one's just right. And shovels it all into her face, not leaving a single crumb behind. I tell you, some people, right? But guess what? She ain't done yet. So after taking the time to gorge herself on someone else's food, she decides she needs a little sit down and finds some nice sofa cushion chairs to do that with in the living room. So she plops down into the first one and finds herself sinking down and decides, oh no, this chair's trying to literally eat me. So before she had a chance to invent furniture vor, she jumped out of it and jumped onto the next chair, which was apparently made of concrete because she decided her butt didn't like that one either. So she drags herself off of it and falls over onto the third chair, decides, it's just right. But you know what? Just right don't mean jack if the chair wasn't built for you. It was built for a small child, and guess what? She broke it under her weight. Imagine that, a grown-up sitting on a toddler's chair wasn't supported very well. And if you thought I was done, if you thought this chick finally had enough of messing up other people's stuff for the day and finally went back to a forest routine, you'd be wrong. After bruising her tailbone with the brilliant decisions she made, she decided to find a bedroom. And you know what? there was 3 beds here. One of them, she decided to try, looked very fluffy, big quilts with lots of little, I don't know, frilly, ribbony designs, I don't know. So she decided to belly flop onto it, only to discover it was some kind of waterbed. I didn't even know people still used waterbeds in this century. Then she found herself sort of drowning in this weird wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff and had to like pseudo-swim her way back to the edge, and then she concluded, this bed's too soft. Oh really? What was your first indication, lady? Good crap. So she goes onto the next bed, but when she pulls out the sheets, turns out it's covered in nails. Who does that? A whole thing covered in actual steel nails? This has got to be some kind of prank, right? Obviously, too sharp. Even she wasn't dumb enough to try actually sleeping on it. No, yeah, she was. So she tried sleeping on it. She's like, oh, I can do this. I've seen this on TikTok before. And so when she does, long story short, she concluded it was too hard. And so when she finally ran out of options, she collapsed into the 3rd bed, the smallest of them all, having her arms dangling out on each side and her legs spread eagle over the other edges. And she decided, you know what? This one's just right. And she went to sleep. I'm gonna give you guys 2 guesses as to what she woke up to when she finally... And that's right, the answer was bears. Yeah, it turns out this house belonged to some actual friggin' bears, and let me tell you something about bears. They don't like it when other people take their food. And when they came home and their porridge had been tampered with, first they probably finished what they had down there, because, you know, food, bears, what are you gonna do? And then they find this intruder who smells like porridge. That's a great recipe for getting friggin' mangled. Unfortunately, she managed to get away from the bears by diving out the window head first and ran until she made it back to civilization. I say unfortunately because the next house she broke into was mine. But that's a completely other story. Good night. Peace! This has been Storytime with Rug Burn! Tune in next time to hear about the story of the dentist who spun straw into dental floss. Good night, everybody! It's time for a Patreon shout. Shammy, Bashful Ivory, Joyful Cryptid, Megan Cloud, and Sonic Destroyer 12. Thanks a lot for all your continued support. And if you want to help me make more videos, go to the description below to check out the Patreon link and become one today. Also, the music of Steve Sharp is really cool and really useful in our other vids, so check him out, also in the description. And go ahead and send us fan mail to P.O. Box 82, Prospect, Kentucky 40059. Later, Internet!